York have been overpowered. At NATO, NATO. We scared the G8 off. They ran off to Camp David like good little cowards. We scared them. And frankly, we scared NATO too. Do you see it? It was a war zone. And we weren't the ones fighting it. There were cops everywhere. It was ridiculous how much they spent. We should count that a victory that we scared them enough they spent millions of dollars on cops. The Chicago Teachers Union is wrapping up. The Chicago Teachers Union has a strike. We can't take credit for that, but we can be proud to have been a part of it. So this day, not only remember what we've done and how we've evolved, but look forward to what we will do. Look forward to what we'll do in the future. I mean, whether we, shut something big down, shut down the Port of Chicago, whether we help workers take over their workplace, whatever it is, look forward to it. And when it comes, embrace it. Know who you're messing with, and mess with them so much harder.
I'm Rachel with the Occupy Chicago Press Committee. I don't know how it's been for the rest of you, but this year has been the most intense and the most fulfilling year of my entire life. We haven't just occupied Chicago. We have helped and aided and taken part in so many movements in this city that have been life-changing for the other people involved as well. Who remembers Occupy Piccolo? Who was out there? That's right, an elementary school was occupied by the parents and the students and the teachers. And they said, we're not going to take this, we're not going to be turned around. And with the support of Occupy Chicago, they were able to have their demands met. Who remembers the Sirius occupation? Yeah. That's right, the Sirius Energy Company. The workers decided to occupy their factories. And what happened? We went there with tents and signs and helped create the kind of public spectacle outside the factory that you need to get the media coverage that can put pressure on a boss, like the Sirius bosses. Who remembers the Woodlawn occupation? The mental health movement is fighting a life and death battle. Rob Emanuel has closed 6 of the 12 public mental health clinics in this city. April last year, there were 20 hospitalizations of public mental health clinic consumers. April of this year, there were 40. Rob Emanuel is a murderer. The people who depend on the public clinics have nowhere to turn. But we stood up for them, as we will continue to fight for all the causes in this town. Thank you so much for coming out here and for taking part in this incredible movement.
Rahm Emanuel, I am your mayor. I'm simply here to give a voice to the greatest minority in Chicago, the 1%. I just want to highlight some of the things that we've been working on this last year. I came into office and I pushed through a 1% budget that cuts services to all of Chicago's people. And yet I was met with resistance from Occupy. I was bold enough to bring the NATO and G8 to Chicago, and I was met with so much resistance that I lost the G8. I cut half of our mental health clinics from our city's budget, shut them down completely, and Occupy resisted. Now I am embroiled in a battle to win the right of the 1% to privatize our schools, to make money for that minority. And the whole city is resisting. So I just want to ask Occupy Chicago, when will you stop resisting? When will you be moved?
But thank you, Rob. I occupy because our government no longer listens to the people
serve. Our government has been controlled, has been taken over by special interests, by lobbyists, by corporations that found it easier to become the government, to get their way, to pass legislation through organizations such as ALEC and others. I occupy to end wars, so our country stops wars. Most of the problems in the Middle East are because our country is there in the first place. We could take 60% of our discretionary budget goes to military expenditures. That money could be taken, could be given to schools, could be given to health care, could be given to public infrastructure, could be created jobs. And our government is not listening. And so here is Occupy. Here is the anniversary, the first year of probably many yet to come. And I occupy because I believe, and amen.
Happy birthday, Occupy Chicago. I am here because I'm a single parent. Occupy does not limit its membership to a select few. We are all members of an oppressed community called the 99%. And we need to stand up to corporate greed. Corporate greed that forgets about matters of the environment that's deteriorating beneath our feet. I was thinking about a movie called Modern Times with Charlie Chaplin as he worked hard to keep that wheel rolling, going around to make the machine work while all his brakes were cut, while he suffered there. We stand up against that kind of oppression. We want unions. We want people to stand up and have a voice in our communities. We stand up to the 1%, and I'm very glad to be here today and welcome anybody who wants to join us. Thank you.
Yeah, when I first came to the Occupy movement in Chicago, it was about 3 weeks in. Okay. When I first came to the Occupy movement, about 3 weeks in, movement was very different then as what it has matured into. I remember a lot of anarchists came with flags that were kicked out. People told them, hey, look, we don't want these kind of people here. You know. Then I noticed gradually over time, more and more were being accepted, and now that's not the case anymore. I remember in the beginning when we were just people that were just pointing out problems. You know, we were throwing action here, throwing action there, never trying to strategically take down something. I saw so many different organizations and groups trying to co-opt the movement. You know, I saw ISO coming in and having their meetings trying to see what they could do to co-opt the movement. Then I saw during the labor meeting, people were coming in trying to co-opt the labor meetings. Why? Because they saw the power that was here. They saw the capital. They saw all the people were here, and they wanted to use that capital for their own personal campaign. And as I saw people getting fizzled out and a lot of hierarchy getting planted in from some of these institutions that have been around a long time, I didn't think I would see this many people here today. I thought by this time it had been so co-opted that there had been nobody left. So I am here to say I am very glad to see that there are people that weathered the hierarchy authoritarian storm that was trying to occupy the movement in the beginning. They did cause some damage though. But you all are still here. I'm glad. Keep that in mind. And hopefully we'll see you next year at the same time.
We're going to get underway in just a few moments here. Just wanted to say thank you again to all of you for joining us today. I know we have some people in New York. I know some of our people are still hard at work on strike support and couldn't get away. Our teachers are with other teachers right now, keeping this strike going and making really important plans to keep defending education in this city. And so I'm really proud of everyone who wanted to be here today and couldn't be, and those of you who are here with us standing. And we came here today not only to celebrate the birthday of Occupy Wall Street, but to stand in solidarity against austerity measures. As Ram mentioned, and a couple of other people did, Rahm Emanuel shut down half of our mental health clinics. He is trying to turn around our schools, to shut them down, to commodify education in this city and make it something that only the rich have access to. Only rich people will have a quality education if this path continues, if we don't put a stop to it now. Our young people will grow up without the opportunity to get a quality education, and if they're lucky enough to go into college, they will be enslaved by debt for the rest of their lives, because that is what the system is turning into. We are here today to reject that and to celebrate a year of resistance, a year that we can all be proud of. Now, this march is going to eventually wind its way to Jackson and LaSalle, and at that point, we're going to wait for our friends from Overpass Light Brigade to join us. And hopefully, the weather will not turn on us too terribly, and we'll be able to put on a little bit of a light show before the rain starts. So, thank you again, and you'll get instructions in just a minute on when we're stepping off.
When people thought this movement wouldn't amount to anything. And slowly, we joined them, until hundreds of people would be out here at a time, drumming, singing, chanting, celebrating the community that we were building. And today, we've come home in celebration of the birthday of Occupy Wall Street. So the police seemed a little unhappy with our plan to take the street. But you know what, that's quite okay. That is quite all right, because we're going to be doing some really exciting things in the coming months. There's no reason for any of you to not be on green status because it's nice. So, we are waiting here for our friends from Overpass Light Brigade, and in spite of the rain, as long as it stays light rain that is, we should be able to do this. So, I'm going to invite anyone who wanted to say something or has something to say now after that rousing march to come up here and take their turn. You didn't get a chance over at Congress Plaza? Now's your moment. Tell us how you feel about the past year. Tell us what you would like to see happen in the coming year. I know I have my thoughts, but I'd like to hear yours. So, does anybody want to step on over here?
And I came down here almost a year ago. I came down here about 5 days after it got started. It feels really good to be out in the street again. And it was great to, see the movement keep going through the whole year. And then this April, I came out for the Occupy thing in the spring in April, and I marched in May Day when it was raining like this. And we didn't care. We marched through the rain, and we went downtown. We had a great rally downtown, and I have a lot of great memories. I'm sure there's a lot of great memories to come, and I'm really excited to be out here back in the street with Occupy Chicago.
My thoughts are that while I understand Occupy Chicago, Occupy Wall Street is not a one-issue movement, I do think that there is one issue that underlines a lot of the problems and a lot of the issues that we're trying to address, and that is money in politics. And what I'd like to see in the coming year is us really focus on the root causes, not the branches, not just some of the niche issues, but really focus on the root causes of so many of the problems that we're out here protesting against. Money in politics, lobbyists, Citizens United, and special interests. And I think that if we can really get to those issues, then it'll solve so many of the other problems that we're out here protesting against. Thank you.